Greetings, everyone. This is Jed Schlackman. I'm a holistic therapist here in Miami, Florida. And in this video presentation, I will be speaking about the topic of holistic living and how we can live more consciously, looking at our lives not from a superficial perspective, not just living for immediate gratification, but looking at how we can create lives that are more fulfilling, that bring health and harmony for ourselves as well as for the society around us. When we start to examine our society, the civilization that we're living in, we see many aspects of that society that are focused more on things that are superficial, instant gratification, consumerism. In the medical field, there's often a focus on symptom relief, so short-term effects rather than considering the long-term effects or considering how to create lasting health, well-being, or balance. In my background in mental health, I've looked at a lot of research over the years about how psychiatric drugs function, and the common theme there is that those medications may often produce a desired short-term effect. So if someone is depressed, a certain medication may make them feel more elevated, more uplifted for a little while, but then over time that effect wears off, and in fact the person sort of builds a tolerance for that medication, and it may no longer give them that desired result. Yet if they try to stop taking it, they'll feel even worse than they did before they ever started. And that's something we don't want to have happen to us, but that can be the result of attempting to treat something in a symptomatic way to create a short-term effect without considering what the long-term results will be. In other aspects of society, social and political and economic, we can see these same types of patterns. If we look at our prisons and our justice system, we'll see that America has the highest percentage prison population, and a lot of that is somewhat minor offenses or things that are even questionable as whether there should be laws to prohibit those things. People that are put in prison for possessing certain substances, for example. And so rather than our society treating the source of the problem or what's causing people to commit certain actions, they're just put away in that prison, which creates profits for certain industries, but which does not really benefit the society as a whole. A holistic way of looking at that would be to consider, why are people consuming those mind-altering drugs? Why are people committing certain types of criminal acts, whether it's some type of theft or some type of violence or aggression? What are the motives? What are the sources of those patterns of behavior? And then we could treat those issues, those particular causes, rather than just trying to punish the person for engaging in those actions. Looking at our own health and well-being, if we have any type of symptom, we have to consider that that symptom is a result of multiple levels of causal factors that could relate to our lifestyle, to our diet, to any types of medications or drugs we're using. It could relate to our emotions, It could relate to certain thoughts or beliefs that we have, ways we think about ourselves or about the world around us. All those things can affect our physical health and our mental health. If we just try to suppress a problem or a symptom, then we're not really going to resolve it. Our unconscious mind is kind of a repository for all the things that we've encountered in our life that we haven't really processed, that we haven't resolved. And if we keep those things there, eventually they manifest externally in some manner, whether it's through some incident or event that occurs in our life, or through some physical health issues that start to appear. What is contained within will at some point be expressed or externalized. Thus, if we're trying to live in a holistic manner to create wholeness, balance, and integrity in our lives, we want to look at those issues and deal with them rather than attempting to deny or suppress them in some manner. Denial in the field of psychology is considered to be one of the most common psychological defense mechanisms. When there is something that a person is not ready or willing to face or confront, they may attempt to deny it to avoid dealing with it in the present. However, when we avoid dealing with something in the present, we will have to deal with it eventually in some form. So if we're more proactive, we try to deal with things more in the present. If we don't choose to function that way, then we end up having to face things at some point in a more reactive way, where we're not really prepared to consciously address it. So let's tell ourselves that we're not going to continue to engage in denial about things that we can confront and we can learn to process and resolve. As I said, our unconscious mind is a vast repository. There are many things from our lives that we can access there that can give us insight into who we are, into our path in life, and also into any challenges or difficulties that we may be experiencing. So if we've carried things unconsciously, things we've suppressed or repressed, things that are in some way inhibiting our ability to live fully consciously, to live fully in the present, then it's time now for us to address those issues. That's a choice that we have the freedom to make. We always have the freedom to choose to face things or not face them, and to deal with whatever the consequence of that choice may be. When we're seeking to be more healthy and more whole, we realize that we can no longer continue to suppress things, that we have to be able to own, to embrace every aspect of ourself, to fully integrate all of our life experiences so that they're in no way inhibiting us or restricting our ability to live our lives and to embrace our full potential. So you could take a moment now to reflect on your own life, any challenges that you're facing, any health symptoms you may be dealing with, and ask your inner, wiser self, your spiritual self, to bring you guidance, to give you strength, to bring you light and wisdom, to help you explore whatever may need to be examined, to help you gain understanding and insight about yourself, about life, about any issue that may concern you. If you take the time to do that type of meditation, contemplation, or self-examination, you may be surprised at some of the things that you uncover. You may also be impressed by the great insights that you gain, by the expansion of your awareness that occurs. Every one of us has things that we've repressed, things that we've held within ourselves. None of us are fully conscious or fully awake, fully aware of everything. And in different points in our life, we encounter experiences that we're not quite prepared to deal with. That's one reason why we often do suppress or deny things, because at the time they occur, we really aren't ready to face them, and we use some type of mechanism to shield ourselves from whatever unpleasant feelings or circumstances may be brought out by looking at those issues. However, as we become more conscious, more mature, then we are able to start to reflect on those things and look at them and process them in a more constructive way. This is what I invite all of you to do, whether it's about things in your own personal life or about issues that pertain to our society as a whole, to humanity, to our planet and its future. If we only look at things superficially, if we only focus on instant gratification, then we often end up doing things that create long-term harm. That could be with drugs and medications that people take. It could be with the different products that we're using in our environment, things like herbicides and pesticides, industrial chemicals, nuclear power, anything else that's often taken for granted as part of modern life. We can consider if those things are necessary, if there are better ways to do things that we need to have done, or better ways to live in harmony with the world around us. It's easy sometimes to just act for the short-term convenience. However, short-term convenience can also lead to creating long-term major inconveniences. Think of what would happen if you decided that it was inconvenient to wash your dishes or clean your house, or things of a simple nature like that, and they never got done. Well, at some point, that mess, that dirt would accumulate to a point where it would create a major problem. If we live more proactively, we're able to prevent some of those problems that could occur in the future. This is something to consider with our health, how we take care of ourselves, if we're getting adequate rest, adequate exercise, adequate nutrition, and so on. If we don't deal with it proactively, then at some point we may build up to a significant crisis, to a situation that's even more challenging or more difficult to handle. I want to thank each one of you for taking the time to consider these ideas, to explore the topic of holistic living, to make a commitment to enhance your own life and and to live with greater responsibility, with more harmony between yourself and the world around you. Namaste.